This is Stat 2401 Elementary Statistics 2 for fall semester. And I can see that there are 4 of you. I see Joey, Ainsley, Catrice, and Jeannie. So if you have questions, you can type them into the chat, but I will tell you that I'm not able to see the chat while I'm sharing my screen. So I'll try to toggle back and forth, or you are welcome to interrupt me, unmute and interrupt me as needed. We'll try to do that and be as polite as possible since it's kind of a different venue. So I am going to share my screen with the group. And I want to begin with kind of just some basic information about the course. So hopefully, maybe, okay, there we go. Okay, so this is Elementary Statistics 2. It is fall semester 2022. It is in the eClassroom format. Again, as I explained, the expectation is that you will log into the live Zoom session, but if you're unable to, it will be recorded and posted by 5 o'clock this afternoon so that you can view it again at a later time. I am Laura Ralston. I'm a professor of mathematics here at Georgia Highlands College. I am beginning my 24th year here at the institution. I also taught middle school and high school mathematics for 6 years prior to coming to Georgia Highlands. So I'm actually beginning my 30th year in academics. I do thoroughly enjoy what I do, and that usually becomes very obvious quite quickly. I'm going to give you my contact information. There is my email address, which is available in D2l, or you can email me directly inside D2l. I do maintain an office on the Cartersville campus. Should you have a need to speak with me face to face, you are welcome to visit that campus. And I'm in building C, room 107. And the phone number there does ring directly into that office, and there is voicemail capability. If you leave a voicemail, if you'll please leave your name and a callback number, and I will return your call should I not be in the office. You'll also see there are a variety of times that I hold office hours that are specifically dedicated for student interaction. There can also be, I'm open to other options should we need to meet outside those times with some notice and planning ahead. But I do have Zoom office hours, if you'll notice, on Sunday nights from 8 to 9 p.m. and also on Thursday afternoons from 2 to 4. I'm actually physically in my office on Mondays and Wednesdays on the Cartersville campus. And then this morning and again on Thursday morning, I monitor email an hour before class from 9:30 to 10:30. And then I do have hours after class. Today is 1:30 to 3. And then on Thursday, I'll be in Zoom from 2 to 4. All of this information is on the syllabus that's in D2l, and I'll show you how to access that in a few minutes. But also, there's a document in D2l that has the office hours and the Zoom links for those Zoom meetings. Some course information, all of the information, all of the stuff that you need to be successful in the course is inside D2l, and we will look at how to navigate that information at the end of this short presentation. It's easier for me if you email me at the GHC email address that was just on the screen. It would be great if you could tell me that you're in Stat 2401. That'll get you a quicker response because I would know which class you're in and can easily do that. But if you forget to do that, I can always look it up. But it's easier if I know that you're in Stat 2401. This is Stat 2401. It's called Elementary Statistics 2, and it's not really a basic survey course in statistics. I forgot to update my thing, but we actually are going to extend some of the concepts and statistical procedures that you should have learned or learned about in Stat 1401, which is elementary statistics. But we still talk a little bit about a lot of different statistical processes. One of the additions to Stat 2401 is we begin talking about what are called non-parametric tests. And we'll talk in more detail about what that is when we get there. You do not have to know calculus for this course. Again, we talk about descriptive statistics, probability distributions, hypothesis testing, analysis of variance, chi-square, correlation and regression. And again, one of the new major topics is non-parametric test. So that's kind of an overview of the course. This is an extension or a sequenced course after Stat 1401. Do you have questions so far? You may unmute and speak, or I will stop the share for a minute and look at the chat if you want to type it in. Okay, I'm going to go back to sharing then. Again, feel free to interrupt if you have questions. Well, did I get myself stuck? Oh, there we go. We use a free textbook. We do have to connect this course with a textbook, and we currently use the Introductory Statistics course that's available through OpenStax. It's currently one of the only free statistic textbooks out there. Should you choose to access it, you can do so either online. There is a downloadable PDF file or a downloadable HTML file. If you prefer to have a physical copy, you can get one directly from the publisher. But guys, in my opinion, I would not bother. Everything you need to be successful is inside D2l. This textbook is not great. It also doesn't cover all of the topics. So I have gone outside of that textbook and pulled in some information from other resources. So honestly, you'll never hear me refer to the textbook or anything like that. So you really, it's free. You can look at it if you want, but you really don't need the textbook to be successful in the course. You will need a basic calculator. This screen recommends the TI 8384, but honestly, you don't need one that fancy. You could get by with TI 30. I looked it up last night for a student. It's a TI 30X as in X-ray, S as in Sam. It runs between $15 and $20 at Walmart or Target or Staples, someplace like that. But you need one that's going to do some basic four-function operations: add, subtract, multiply, and divide. So if you have an 8384, you can use it. If you have one that does basic four functions, you can use that. So don't rush out and buy a big fancy calculator. We will be using a statistical software through this course. It's called Minitab Online. It is an internet-based program, so it does not matter whether you're using a Windows-based machine or a Mac. In my opinion, Minitab is one of the most user-friendly software programs that that's out there. It's not the only one that can be used for statistical analyses, but some of the major companies within the United States use Minitab. I know that Amazon, Coca-Cola, in Cartersville, I know that Anheuser-Busch used it at one time, and Gerdau used it. So there are companies that use this particular software. Again, it's very user-friendly. You will be able to download it to your home computer after Wednesday, August the 24th. We are required to verify that you're going to be a student enrolled in this course before we give you access, but you'll have free access for this semester to Minitab. You do have to use your GHC email address to set up your account. to verify because they recognize that as the fact that you are a student. And Google Chrome is the current recommended browser for using Minitab. When we get there and we're ready to use it and download it, we can look at that together during one of these Zoom sessions. So don't panic, and please don't go out and try to download it today because it won't work. Okay, so here's how you're going to get a grade. I am required at certain points during the semester to report to the institution how you're doing in the class. And one of those first reports occurs next week on August the 23rd. And I basically have to say, yes, I know that Joey has been attending class. But I can't just say that because Joey's in the Zoom session today. I have to have you do something in the course. And so the way I do that is through a syllabus or an orientation quiz. It's about 8 to 10 questions, all related to the type of information that I'm talking about now. And so it's worth 10 points. Then there are homework quizzes within D2l for each lesson, and we will be discussing 12 different lessons throughout the semester, and they're worth 10 points apiece. That's a total of 120 points. You will be asked to take a proctored midterm exam, and we use Respondus Lockdown Browser and Monitor for that proctored exam. And so to make sure that Respondus is compatible with your computer, I have you do a Respondus Lockdown Browser and Monitor quiz at the very beginning of the course, again, to ensure that your computer is compatible and will work. Then you have the proctored midterm exam, the final exam, and we complete 7 mini projects, and we'll talk a little bit more about those in just a minute. And those mini projects are 50 points apiece. The final exam and proctored exam are 150 points apiece. So you have the opportunity to earn up to 800 points total throughout the semester. So a couple of things about those different evaluations and assessments that you're going to have. Again, all of the homework is in D2l. You are allowed 3 attempts on each lesson or each quiz, and only the highest score is recorded. So if you take it one time and you don't do well, then that gives you the opportunity to go back, review the content of that lesson, perhaps review the video for that lesson, and then redo it up to 3 times. And again, only the highest score is recorded. The proctored midterm exam will cover the information in Module or Unit 1 and Unit 2. You will be required to use Respondus Lockdown Browser, and it is taken inside D2l, but it will be taken outside of class time. So I usually give you a 3 to 4 day window to do that. And as that exam approaches, we'll talk more about what it entails. The final exam will cover only modules 3 and 4. It is not proctored, but will be taken again inside D2l, but outside of our designated class time. The mini projects gives you an opportunity to actually apply the concepts and analyses that we're learning, so that you could you're going to learn about them, then we're going to practice them through the homework, then I want you to apply them, sort of like what you might possibly do in the real world or on your job. You get to select a data set. I have some options for you. I'll show you that. You'll work on those outside of class time, but we will have talked about and worked through examples in class together before you are asked to do that by yourself. So let me pause here again to see if you have any questions. So let me stop the share and see if you have questions. Again, you may unmute and speak, or again, if you want to type it into the chat, I'll check the chat. Okay, I do have a tendency at times to talk fast, So if I am talking too fast, you guys let me know and I will make the effort to slow down. Some other policies that are GHC policies, kind of college-wide policies that I'm required to let you know about, just to kind of hit the high points. If for some reason, again, we kind of have this one set up in that hybrid format where you have the ability to watch the videos, but if you have the need to be absent for more than 5 consecutive class meetings, there's simply a form we fill out to let you know if you have to have an emergency appendectomy or something like that. There's a form we fill out just to say, yeah, Miss Ralston knows I'm going to be out. She's going to let me do my work. And it's just a communication so that we're aware of that and we have an agreement. The early warning project, which I alluded to a moment ago, is a way that Georgia Highlands tries to help support you and help you be successful in the class by letting you know how you're doing in the course at different points in the semester. Again, the first of those occurs next week on Tuesday, August 23rd, and it is solely based on your attendance. Are you attending class? Have you completed, the orientation requirements and that sort of thing? The second one occurs at about the 40% mark in the semester, which will be around Wednesday, September the 28th. And it's related more to your course progress. Again, are you coming to class? Are you participating? Are you doing your homework? How are you doing on those homeworks? Are you doing your mini projects? How are you doing on those? To kind of let you know, are you doing the things that you need to do to be successful in the course or not? And if you're not, someone from the Success Center will reach out to you and to try to provide you with some resources or some options that perhaps will help you get on track to be successful in the course. The withdrawal deadline, the date by which you can withdraw should you need to without penalty, is Monday, October the 17th. Student conduct and academic integrity, simply kind of common sense, be respectful of instructors and classmates. Again, I'm not bothered if you interrupt me, especially in this format, because I don't have the benefit of being able necessarily to see you raise your hand or see the confused look on your face. So please feel free to interrupt me. Cheating or the appearance of cheating is obviously not tolerated. Should there be an issue, you and I have to have a conversation that can be referred to Student Life. It can go on your academic record and can follow you from institution to institution. I do not anticipate a problem. Like I say, I've been here 24 years and I can count on one hand the number of issues I've had with that particular problem. Other policies, if you need special accommodations, all of those have to come through the Disability Support Services. And if you have not already contacted them about your need or about your desire to use those accommodations, you need to do so as soon as possible. The email address for Disability Support Services is there on the screen. I'm happy to make those accommodations for you. I just need to be aware of them. Georgia Highlands College, as far as the campus, is a weapons-free zone under House Bill 280. That probably is not a problem for you guys because we're not going to be physically on campus. Also, the campus is tobacco-free, no cigarettes, e-cigarettes, snuff, smokeless, or chewing tobacco. Again, we're not physically on campus. Early grades requests. Sometimes you may be applying to a specialized program at Georgia Highlands or perhaps at another institution, and you need your grades prior to the semester end. And so there's a form you can fill out, and I'm happy to complete that for you should you need it. Some other resources, as as we get into the semester and get into the course content, guys, if you get to struggling with the course content, please reach out to me. Again, in this kind of Zoom format, it's difficult for me to know if you are struggling because I can't really see your faces or or have the benefit of that like I would in a classroom setting. So I should be really your first line of defense, the first person you reach out to when you start struggling. During my office hours, you can email me anytime. I do try to respond to emails within 24 hours, Monday through Friday, and 48 hours on the weekend. We can talk by phone. If we need to, we can do an individualized Zoom session or whatever, but please reach out whenever you need help. Georgia Highlands, also, you may want to think about study groups with other classmates. That might be a little more challenging in this online format. The biggest thing about using a study group, though, is make sure that you're contributing and that you're not just relying on the group or someone else to do the work for you, because come test time, you're going to have to do it yourself. Georgia Highlands does offer free tutoring. I noticed a lot of that for this year is still in the virtual realm. I mean, you can make an appointment through Navigate. They have a daily math drop-in, or they do offer free in-person tutoring. I can tell you that the tutor, several of the tutors have taken this course to get familiar with the content and be able to help students. So just be aware that that is an option. There's also STEM 411, which is a free tutoring system. It's sort of like a chat if someone is actually monitoring it, or it's where you can leave a question 24/7, quite honestly, and someone like myself will go in and pick up that question and then respond to you, ideally within 24 hours. I'm not sure what the specific turnaround time is for STEM 411, but that is also an option. But again, please realize that really, quite honestly, I should be your first point of contact when you begin to struggle in the course. Okay, so I would encourage you to read the course syllabus in its entirety. Again, I've hit the high points, probably the major things that you really want to know about. And then once you do that, I need you to take the syllabus or the orientation quiz by Sunday, August 21st at 11:30 p.m. And I want to show you, the next thing I want us to talk about is the course in D2l and how to navigate that course. So again, I'm going to stop the share for a minute, see if you have questions, and then I want to go over to D2l. Okay. Y'all are a quiet bunch. All right, so I'm going to share my screen again. Let me get out of this PowerPoint, maybe. Well, maybe let's go over and I'll toggle over here. Okay, share my screen again. All right, so I have navigated to D2l. I'm assuming that you guys know how to do that, but just in case you don't, you go to highlands.edu, and then under quick links, you choose D2l Course Access, and you'll have to log in. I was already logged in. And you should have, once you get logged in, you should have, okay, I saw something in the chat, so hold on just a second. Let me see what I need. The answer to your question, Joey says, if we can't make it to the live Zoom, as long as it's not 5 continuous or 5 consecutive ones, does it affect us? No, ideally, I mean, again, the expectation is that you attend the Zoom one, but again, if something comes up and you're not able to, it will be recorded and posted by 5 o'clock this afternoon, and then you can watch it kind of, I suppose, at your leisure, if you call that leisure, I guess. So once you get logged in to D2l, you probably have a variety of these different options for your different classes. We're going to go to Elementary Statistics 2, and that takes you to the landing page. And at the moment, on the left-hand side, you'll see announcements for the course. And I say I have a typo. I got 2410 instead of 2401. I'll try to fix that. But you have a welcome message from me in the course. It gives you a little bit more of my biography. It's kind of the information on the course and what I need you to do for the orientation. Again, even for this course, even in this e-classroom format, we're going to need to download Respondus Lockdown Browser. So one of the things that I do in the announcements is I do try to provide you with links to those different activities so that you don't have to, go all over the place to find them. So this is a live link and you can click on it and it's going to automatically take you to the to the orientation quiz. There's also one for the Respondus Lockdown Browser practice quiz. So the links should work. And again, that just is an easy way for you to navigate. The Zoom link for the class is really the first announcement. So it will always be this link. There's no password required. And so hopefully you can bookmark it or come back, know where it is. It's always going to be at the very bottom. I tried pinning it to the top and couldn't figure out how to do that. But you'll see announcements. I try to post things on a weekly basis to kind of keep you up to date on where we are or what we're doing. And then on your right-hand side, you'll see the content browser. And this is kind of where all of the course material is located. So you have obviously the start here. This is the first time, by the way, that this particular course has been offered in an e-classroom format. It is typically being only offered in an online format. And I personally noticed that students tended to struggle with some of the content. So I asked to teach it in this format to see if that might be of more benefit to students. So some of this is the way the course is set up is still set up as if it were an online class, just so you know. Okay, so welcome to STAT 2401. And again, it gives you a welcome. It has all of my contact information, email address, phone number, office location. You have a link to the syllabus. You have a link to the course outline. I am going to click on that one because I want to show you the course outline. The course outline is kind of like your schedule. It gives you an idea of what we're going to cover when. Okay, so like today, hopefully we're going to be talking about data and visualization. That's the plan. We'll be talking about that on Tuesday and Thursday. So I indicate to you that this is a new format. Due dates might change depending on how the course paces because it's new for me and it's new for you, but it also gives you the due dates for the quizzes. They're pretty much weekly, just so you on Sundays, just so you have time to process the information. So this is a great resource to print off and keep close by because it's going to give you information about what we're doing on a particular day and then also when your assignments are due. And while I'm getting out of this, do you guys have questions? Again, you can unmute. There is a link to the textbook. Again, I don't personally use it or refer to it, but it's there should you want to use it. And then at the end of this landing page, again, you have the orientation activities, which are your orientation quiz, the Respondus Lockdown quiz. Okay, so let me go back to home. Also, under the content browser, there's some academic excellent resources that gives you some information about the various options for the tutoring, the writing center, and different things available at Georgia Highlands. Student resources that gets more into mental health and wellness issues that are available. Again, you can check those out. Exam testing information that gives you more information on Respondus Lockdown Browser. The next folder is going to be an important one. Right now, if you click on Zoom recordings, I have it set up by modules, but there's no content. But that's where I will post the link to the video of today's session. Okay, so once class is over, it has to process. That takes a little bit of time. Then once I have it posted up to my YouTube channel, I will post the link to that recording here in this folder. So just be aware that's where you need to look. Should you not be able to attend class, you want to look in this Zoom recording folder. I have created instructions, step-by-step instructions for all of the different analyses that we do in Minitab. So I have those in the folder Minitab Instructions. Stat 2401, Module 1, we have it set up into modules. There are 4 in the course. Let me show you how those are set up. You have an introduction for each lesson. It kind of gives you a broad overview of what's going to occur in that module, and it gives you the related course objectives. Sort of like the introduction to a chapter if you want to think about it as a textbook. Then in the first lesson, for example, you get the title of the lesson, you get an overview of that lesson, kind of a checklist of things you need to do, PowerPoints, okay, that we'll be using and I will be supplementing in class. I've added extra notes that sometimes when I found that students struggle with a particular topic, I've added some extra resources, some extra practice, and that sort of thing. There are also videos that already have been created that are voiced over PowerPoints. So the PowerPoints that are in the course, there are videos that already exist. A few of those I created, others were created by my colleague. And so those are still available because, again, originally this was a totally online class. So those are available too as extra resources should you wish to review them. And then at the bottom of the landing page, you have the link to the quiz for that particular lesson. Okay, so it'll take you directly to the quiz. And that's the quiz that's graded that you have 3 attempts on. Most of the questions are multiple choice. Occasionally you may have a fill in the blank. And so each lesson is pretty much set up in that format. You have the lesson, an overview, PowerPoints, videos, and then you have the mini project. And I'm just going to click on this first one so you get an idea of what it looks like. It basically says you're going to be asked to complete a series of mini projects, and I let you choose the data set that you want to use from this list. You know, if you are, say, a criminal justice major, you might want to look at the one for crime in the United States. If you're an education major, you may want to do the integrate assessments in Georgia. If you're a nursing or health professions, you may want to do one of the healthcare analytics, something like that. A lot of students enjoy the one for the U.S. President's physical data. That's just kind of a fun one. But if you want something that's related to your field of study, you're welcome to choose. But you get to choose, but whichever one you choose, you're going to use all semester long for all 7 of the projects. And I give you information on how to upload those to Minitab, but again, we'll walk through that together in class or in one of our Zoom sessions. Okay, so do you have questions on how to navigate? One other thing I'll mention, I try to put in the links. Sometimes they don't work. If they don't work, a couple of things. For your quizzes, which are assessments, you can go to assessments and then to quizzes, and it will give you a list of all the quizzes that are in the course, and then you can choose which one you need. or want. So do you have questions? I would anticipate that probably most of you have been at Georgia Highlands for at least one semester, so that you're familiar with D2l. So I'm going to stop the share and see if you have questions. Okay, I want to kind of get a sense of where everybody is. One of the things that I've found in teaching this course over the last few semesters is that sometimes it's been a while since students had Stat 1401. And so that's been one of the challenges, because a lot of the material in Module 1 and Module 2 is a carryover from Stat 1401. We add to it, supplement it, but sometimes students have forgotten that information because it's been a while. So I am going to do a poll. Okay, so hopefully you can see it on your screen. I'm going to launch the polling and ask you to answer the question, how long has it been since you took Stat 140, whoops, I got a typo, 1401. If you don't mind answering that for me. Okay, so looks like most of you had Stat 1401 in spring 2022, so it's really only been through the summer, so that's good. One of you had it during the summer, and then one of you had it maybe last fall. So hopefully you haven't forgotten too much of the information. So I'll let you guys see the poll results. Okay, so hopefully that some of that information is still fresh. Maybe you still have your notes that you can refer back to should you need to. Okay, any other questions before we kind of dive in and kind of get an introduction to that first module? Okay, I created a PowerPoint to kind of do the module introduction. I don't think it's in D2l, but I can post it up there for you guys. So let me share my screen again. I know I'm doing all the talking today, but hopefully as we get into the course, you guys will do a little bit more. So this is the Module 1 introduction for both Stat 2401 and Business 3000. You know, a lot of people think, well, when and where will I use statistics? And guys, quite honestly, statistics is probably one of the most useful mathematics or the most useful sciences that you can have. Even having, you know, a basic elementary statistics course like Stat 1401 or Stat 2401 can be impressive to your employer, because they know you can maybe have an idea at least of where to begin analyzing numbers. But most people, if you just, you know, meet people on the street, become familiar with probability and statistics through various media. You cannot hardly turn on the radio, the TV, look at the internet, a newspaper or magazine without hearing some form of a statistic. For example, one of the recent headlines on a news report that I saw from 11 Alive said that Atlanta has already seen 100 homicides in 2022. CNN indicates that over the past 12 months, grocery prices have soared 13.1%, which is the largest annual increase since the year ending in March 1979. That's according to the Bureau of Labor and Statistics. For the fourth year in a row, the Georgia Department of Education reported that for a fourth year in a row, Georgia public school students outperformed their counterparts in the nation's public schools on the SAT, recording a mean score of 1,077, 39 points higher than the national average for public school students. Politics. The survey of 950 Georgia adults, including 753 registered voters, found Kemp holding a 1-point lead over Abrams, 45% to 44%, which statistically is considered a tie. So guys, I mean, there's a lot of resources there for CNN, Georgia Department of Education, Northwest Georgia News. I mean, you can't you can't turn on the TV, radio without hearing some statistic. Now, another one is from Fox 5 Atlanta. The median U.S. home price exceeds $400,000 for the first time. You probably hear these things all day long, and some of them might give you pause. Some of them you just go, whatever. Because that's the deal with statistics. As a consumer, as a citizen, you have to decide what you think or what you believe about that particular statistic. Are they giving you the full picture? Are they twisting the numbers? So again, having that basic understanding of statistics can help you do that, which can ultimately help you become a better citizen and a better consumer. I showed you there on the last screen a variety of fields: crime, criminal justice, business, education, politics or political science, real estate. But guys, statistics is used in almost every field of human endeavor. I mean, think about it, especially think about sports. You know, we hear those all the time. At some point in your lifetime, probably in your career, you will be given statistical information, and you need to know how to analyze that information. I mean, something from as simple as buying a house, managing a budget, or your chosen profession, especially if you're going into a field. Let's see if I can tell what some of you guys are. It looks like it got cut off. Maybe psychology, criminal justice. I mean, psychology, you may have to interpret test results. For criminal justice, you may have to interpret, you know, statistics related to crime. Education is definitely one. You know, you may want to know, does one type of teaching method better than another? So there are lots and lots of uses across the board. My niece over the weekend bought a new car, and she has spent the last several weeks looking at different types of cars, looking at, you know, their miles per gallon rate, she looked at things like turn radius and that kind of thing. She graduated with a criminal justice degree and has had evasive driver training, and so she was looking at things like turn radius and headroom and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, she did her research and looked at those statistics for the course or for the car, and then made her decision about what she wanted to buy. Okay, have I got myself hung up here? Let's see. Let me stop the share because something's going on. We'll try again. Sometimes technology is not cooperative. Well, it's like my computer's stuck. Come on, computer. Well, my computer's stuck, guys. Let me see. I can keep talking, maybe. I forget what's the next thing. Okay. Basically, on that same screen there, let's see if I can get it to come back up now. If you're looking at, you know, economics, business, psychology, education, a lot of different pathways, different majors require at least one course in statistics, and you're having the joy or the pleasure of taking a second one. But again, ultimately, you as the individual, as the researcher, as the employee, as the consumer, as the citizen, have to make a decision about the correctness of a statement, a claim, or a fact. And so those statistical methods that we're going to talk about can help you make that best educated guess or make that decision. So really 3 reasons why we should study statistics. One is at some point you may have to actually read and understand various statistical studies performed in your fields, especially in like psychology, criminal justice, education. They want you to remain, quote, current, meaning they want you to keep up with what's going on in that field, the different trends. And one way you do that is by reading the research that other people have done. And so if you read it, you got to be able to understand it. And having a basic knowledge of the vocabulary, symbols, concepts, and statistical procedures, which you can gain from this class, will help you do that. You may actually do research yourself one day. And so you have to kind of know how to set up an experiment or set up that research from the beginning, and how to do that correctly so that you are not wasting your time. And then, as I've already mentioned, it can help you individually become a better consumer and a better citizen. So in Module 1, there are 3 lessons, and really all 3 of these lessons hopefully are simply an extension of content that you learned in Stat 1401. We focus on data and its visualization in Lesson 1. Lesson 2, we focus on descriptive statistics. And then Lesson 3, we get into some probability concepts related to random variables. That lesson probably has some new content that you haven't seen previously in it. So that's kind of the layout of the course, the layout of the first module. Do you have questions? Okay, so let's talk a little bit about data and its visualization. Again, hopefully this is a review of some of the content from math, from Stat 1401. Okay. Let me backtrack for just a minute, because this dives right into data and its visualization. Let me go over to just a clean page and review a little bit of some of the vocabulary that's not really on any of the PowerPoints in the lesson, but that might be important as we get into the lesson. Are you guys okay with that? Okay, we keep using the word data. Okay. Data is the information collected. Okay, and that information could be anything from gender, height, weight, eye color, ethnicity, religious preference. I mean, it could be anything, and it might be multiple things. Oftentimes, researchers will collect lots of information through like a survey. And so you get lots of data, but the data is simply the information that's collected. More specifically, we talk about a variable. You'll hear that word some. The variable, I like to say, is the what. The variable is what you want to know about, and it's called a variable because the value changes when I move from person to person. Okay, so the variable is the exact thing, if you will, that you are interested in. Okay, so a moment ago when we did that poll, I was interested in how long had it been since you took Stat 1401. So the variable, in a sense, was the time since you took Stat 1401. And so that was my variable. And I got different responses. One of you'd had it in the summer, 3 of you had had it in the spring, and 1 of you had had it last fall. Okay, some other terms that you hear a lot, especially in statistics, is you'll hear us talk about the population. And I hope these words are familiar to you. I refer to the population as our big picture. And it typically includes all the items that, well, I don't know the best way to say it, but it's all the items. So like if I wanted to know, you know, the government every 10 years conducts a census, and they're trying to get information from all the residents within the United States. Now that's a big effort, and so that's probably why they only do it every 10 years. But the population is your big picture focus. It might be something as simple as all the 50 governors of the United States. It might be we want to look at all the students enrolled at Georgia Highlands College in fall 2022. Okay, so the population is the big picture, and associated with that population, we have some numerical measurements. Those measurements are called parameters. Okay, the parameters are the numeric measurements associated with the population, the big picture. So the numeric measurements, it might be how many are in the group, your sample size. It could be the average or the mean. It could be the median. It might be the minimum, the maximum. Okay, there's lots of different measurements. One other thing that I'll remind you of here, that parameters are usually the symbols are usually Greek letters. That's one way from a symbolic perspective that we distinguish between parameters or between a population and a sample, or between parameters and statistics. So you'll see the use of Greek letters. Realizing that it is often difficult, if not impossible, to get information from every single person within a group. I mean, guys, think about it. The United States tries to conduct the census every 10 years and get information from every single resident within the United States. Guys, that's a lot of people. And it takes a long time to get all that information. But do you really think they get information from every single person? even thinking about getting information from all the students at Georgia Highlands College in fall 2022. That could be challenging in and of itself as well, because you have students who are on one of 5 campuses. You have students who are taking e-classroom and are maybe not coming to class, or taking online and they're not physically coming to campus. So again, it might be challenging. So oftentimes what researchers do is they use a sample, okay, which is like our small focus group, that is a little bit more manageable than the population that we maybe have access. Okay, so research often is used, we use a sample, and then from that sample we make a generalization or an inference back to the population. So I always think about this is sum of the items. The population is all of them. The sample is some. It's important that your sample is random and representative. Random simply means that there was not really a pattern to how we went about selecting the people to participate. There are certain sampling techniques that you would have learned in Stat 1401 that can ensure that you have a random sample. The idea that the sample is representative means that your sample, your small group, has the same characteristics as your population. For example, if you know that your population is 60% female and 40% male, then you would want to ensure that your sample, your small group, is also 60% male or 60% female and 40% male, that it has that same percentage. If your focus is perhaps just on females, you would want to ensure that your sample only includes females. Again, you want your sample to have the same primary characteristics as your population, so that you are able to take what you learn about the sample and apply it back to the population. Again, I hope this is sounding familiar, but again, guys, if you have questions, you can interrupt me for further explanation. The numerical measurements associated with a sample are called statistics. Okay, so it's population parameters and sample statistics. So the numerical measurements associated with a sample. And they're usually, symbol-wise, they're usually, the term that your textbook uses is Roman or English letters. Good old basic regular alphabet letters. Notice, in case it was never pointed out to you, that it's a population parameter. They both start with P. Kind of helps you remember they go together. Population parameter and sample statistics, S and S. Now, in case you're a visual learner, let me give you a picture of what we just basically discussed, okay? So big picture is the population. Again, the population includes all of the items. But then from that population, we select a smaller group that's more manageable that I have access to. So my sample is sum. Now notice again that the sample is inside that bigger circle. So again, we've taken that sample from the population, again, using a technique to ensure that it's random, but also that it has the representativeness. The fact that it's inside, the small circle is inside the big circle, is ensuring that I have that representativeness. The other thing that I'll point out, and I've alluded to several times, but let me see if I can draw you a picture. Again, what we do is we take this sample, this small group, and we learn everything we can about it. Okay, so we collect statistics. We learn about the sample. And then using statistical processes, we take what we learn about the sample and we apply it back to the population. Okay, and that idea of taking what we learn about the sample and apply it to the population is called inference, or making a generalization. We take what we learn about the small group and we apply it or generalize it back to the population. That's what statistics lets us do. Okay, questions? Okay, so let's go through just maybe kind of a quick example of how you might use the, set this up. So for example, let's see if I can get you guys to talk a little bit. Let's pose our research question. One of the first steps when you're conducting research is that you pose a question, and you want to make the question clear and with as much detail as possible. So let's say, what is the most popular vehicle manufacturer I just lost it. Driven by students in Stat 2401 on Tuesday, August 16th, 2022. Okay, so notice when I pose the question, when you pose the question again, you want to state it clearly and with as much detail as possible. Okay, so think about kind of the W's: who, where, what, when, and probably if you're really doing research, in the back of your mind you even have the why. Now you may not put the why in the question, but if you're writing a report, you would want to include the why. Okay, so this is our research question, and we want to write it as clearly as possible so that we can answer the questions. And the questions might be or things like, what is the variable? What is the population? What's the parameter? What's the sample? And then the statistic, and I'll add those in just a minute. So if you look at this question, what is the most popular vehicle manufacturer driven by students in Stat 2401 on Tuesday, August 16th, 2022? Okay, what is the variable? What am I interested in?
The vehicle manufactured.
Okay, very good. I'm interested in the vehicle manufacturer. Now notice he did not say the most popular, okay? The variable, what you're going to respond with is the vehicle manufacturer. So you're going to give me answers like Kia, Ford, Toyota, and so forth. Okay? Because I don't know from the beginning what's most popular. That's my end goal. I want to know which one is most popular. Okay, based on how this question is stated, what is my population? I will tell you that oftentimes the population is not explicitly outright stated in the question. You have to read between the lines. It is usually implied.
It's the students in our stats 2401 class on Tuesday, August 16th, 2002, right?
Very good, Ainsley. It's all the students in stat 2401 on Tuesday, August 16th, 2022. So it's all of you guys. When I go to collect this information, should I be included in the responses?
No.
Why not?
Because you're the teacher, not the student.
Okay, because I'm the instructor, I'm not a student. Okay, connected to, notice when I stated that population as well, guys, that I stated it with details. The devil is in the details with statistics, guys. The details are important. It gives context to the research or context to the problem. Okay, what measurement am I trying to ultimately get to for the population? What's my end game? My measurement is that most popular, that's what I want to know ultimately, vehicle manufacturer. Okay, that's my numerical measurement for all the students in stat 2401 on Tuesday, August 16th, 2022. And again, notice, I wrote it that way intentionally because I want you to understand that that parameter is connected to the population. And actually in this example, because I only got 5 minutes left, okay, in this example, my population is also going to be my sample. And sometimes that's the case. If you use all the people, and I'm going to use all the students, that population can also become my sample. And then that would also mean that my parameter becomes my statistic. Now, that's not always the case, and we'll look at some other examples, but that gets you the idea. Now, again, this piece, these vocabulary, variable, population, parameter, sample, and statistic, are not on the PowerPoint, but it's important that you understand them because we're going to be using them as we go throughout the rest of the course. And again, those are things hopefully that are familiar to you that have carried over from Stat 1401. So I want to stop there, and on Thursday we will pick up and look at data and visualization. Look at, once you have the data, once you've collected it, how can we organize it in a visual way so that we can begin to make sense of it? Okay, do you have questions before we leave? All right, well, you guys have a good afternoon, and I will see you on Thursday morning at 11 o'clock.
Have a good afternoon.
You too.
Thanks. Have a good afternoon, Laura.
Y'all have a blessed one.